Hello. Yes, so I am really happy to introduce Mary Grose today. She is a member of the Edwardsville Area Women's Voters League of Women's Voters, as well as Bring Your Own Glen Ed for the reusable bags. And today she's going to be talking about a new initiative called the Good Dirt Composting Program. So, Mary?
Thank you very much, Christy, for inviting me. As Christy said, I live in Edwardsville. I've been living here for about 30 years. I'm actually not a member of the league, but I know a lot of people in the league. But I am a member of Bring Your Own Glen Ed. And so our composting group is called Good Dirt Composting Collective. We just got together at the beginning of the fall. So we really are our new group. The origin of the group really came about through conversations with Will Krause. I believe he is Ward 5, Alderman. And in the Bring Your Own Glen Ed group, we had consulted with the city council members over the last 3 years to work on that ordinance. And in one of those conversations, Will said, I'd really like composting to come to Edwardsville. As you probably know, composting, there are some cities that do it. California does it as a state. We're a grassroots group. We're not interested in at the moment of asking for an ordinance. We really would love to. Our main focus is to encourage people in the community to compost in whatever way that they can. As well as schools, nursing homes, hospitals, etc. So anyway, after he mentioned, the composting idea to me a few times, I thought, okay, I'll see what happens. And it's been really amazing. I've learned that a lot of people do compost. I didn't realize how much is going on just in people's backyards. And also in some of the businesses in this area. So just by reaching out, you just find out so much, and meeting one person led to meeting another person. And so it's been a really fun group. So I contacted Connie Frey Spurlock, sociology professor at SIU, who I knew through Bring Your Own Glen Ed. And she connected me with other people at SIU. I contacted some friends that I know at SIU, thinking that maybe some of the educators would be interested in formulating curriculum for children. Anyway, just went on and on. And so our members are a mix of people from SIU, Madison County, Goshen Market, St. John's Methodist Church, and other people have helped as far as offering very generously their resources, such as Maggie McCoy at the Missouri Botanical Gardens, and Lewis and Clark, a contact person there who uses a commercial composting business called Total Organics Recycling. And so I also talked to the woman there who coordinates the Total Organics Recycling business, and she told me how many businesses are using their business. And so that includes a really extensive list. I'll only name a few businesses off to you just so you have an idea. But in the local area, it includes Lewis and Clark. Let's see here. The Alton Beer Bakery, Anderson Hospital, Schnucks. Where is my list? Oh, here it is. Principia College, Bush, and then in St. Louis, the list goes on because this is a St. Louis based business. So Bush Stadium, Missouri Botanical Gardens, Wash U, and several private and public schools. So she also gave me a lot of material, and they have a wonderful website if any of you want to look at that. So after getting all these different people together, we were just starting from scratch. So we really didn't know what our focus was, what our goals were, but it just evolved over the course of these few months. So you probably all know, first of all, what composting is, I'm sure. It basically replicates what happens in nature, but speeds it up because you're combining food scraps with usually leaves or other vegetation, and you basically layer them so that there's always a nice composition, basically 1-to-1 between food scraps and what we call the brown portion of composting. And then, with turning, it brings oxygen into that composition, so it doesn't release methane. Um, and all those organisms that are breaking down the organic matter need oxygen. So basically, it's a combination of green and brown matter, oxygen, a little water, and turning so that everything gets oxygenated on a regular basis. So like if this is happening and you're not in your yard and just threw your food scraps in a pile, which I have done for many, many years, without turning it, you're not going to get very much in the end as a result. But I'm personally have like 8 piles in my yard. And so they're all at different stages. One pile I'm feeding with food scraps and it's a pile of leaves. When that gets full, then I start another one. And so the first one I'm just turning and it's already shrinking down and it's amazing. I mean, I don't recognize any vegetables or fruits and it's only been a few months. So it's a really cool activity just to learn about that natural process. And it's great if you have kids around or grandkids and they can learn how to do it and they can feed the piles and see how things disappear. And eventually, of course, the end result is this wonderful dark soil that brings nutrients back to your plants, your vegetable gardens. It improves the structure of soil. It decreases the amount of water you need, fertilizer, pesticides if you are using them. It offers all those benefits. So, and also it reduces all that matter going to landfills, which is quite a significant amount. And in a landfill, even though you think, oh, well, it can decompose there, it doesn't really decompose there because there's no oxygen. It's piled in with all the trash and so forth. So instead of decomposing, it actually releases methane gas, which is a very toxic gas that has more negative impact than CO2. So it reduces methane, which is a good thing. So once our group got together, this is like the third group that I'm involved in at a grassroots level, and I really recommend anybody who is interested in just some niche thing. It's really a fun kind of activity. So we decided on a logo. We had some ideas about that. I found an artist who was willing to create a logo for us pro bono, which was wonderful because she's an SIU alum. And that was great. And then one of the members, Leslie, who is associated with St. John's Methodist Church and their garden, she's actually a master gardener student. She said she would be happy to take on the Facebook page. And that's a very educational Facebook page. Other people, like there's somebody from Madison County who coordinates the Green Schools program, and that offers grant money to teachers who are interested in creating curriculum about anything having to do with the environment. And then there is Goshen Market has a program, Farm to School. So that's another member, Lindsay. And so she's, with the pandemic, everything has slowed down, but she's working with teachers and building gardens there and composting. Then let's see, who else? Oh yeah, so then the Botanical Garden contacted me recently and said, would your group like to be part of the St. Louis, it's called One St. Louis Food Waste Diversion Group. It's a regional plan trying to bring composting to the region. So, you know, you can just see how like one little thing, one person can then lead to another great contact and activity. Um, and now we just recently met someone who found out about us, Anthony Weber, who lives in Glen Carbon, and he is interested in starting his own commercial business. And with him, it was also like very low key. He was just asked his neighbors to give him their food scraps because he was composting and it's grown. So he's interested in perhaps actually making it a small business in the Edwardsville, Glen Carbon area. So our focus, it turns out, what we've come up with is that our primary focus is to educate residents, schools, nursing homes, restaurants, to compost in any way that they can. For neighbors to work together. Maybe you don't have a yard, but a neighbor has a yard and has that kind of time to do compost. It doesn't really take a lot of time, but you know, maybe you know there's a neighborhood site. We're also trying to recruit scouts once they're meeting again to build compost bins for people. And we'd also like to have various drop-off sites. Right now we have one, and that's through Leslie, who is the gardener at St. John's Methodist Church. And they have a compost bin there, and they've opened it up to the public. We've advertised that only so far. We don't want to have like the whole city going there. So through the Friends of LeClaire newsletter, Michael Reinhardt offered to advertise those bins to the people who live in the surrounding area of the church. So we would love to have more sites like that where a church or some other organization that has a little piece of land and is composting to open it up to at least the surrounding neighborhood. That's about all I have to say about what we're doing. Of course, eventually we would love for SIU to compost. A lot of universities do. And they were like on the brink of deciding which compost company to use right before the pandemic. And so for months now, their kitchen has been closed to visitors. So they put that on hold. But I'm encouraged to, the person that is the dining's director told me that they would love to do it. So I think eventually they'll do it too. Carbondale has this amazing industrial plant on site because they have agrobiz, which has helped with it. And that's something to aspire to, but maybe it's not for every university. It's quite a large scale, but it's inspiring nonetheless. So I am totally open to questions and
yes, Nate.
How do you ensure if you don't have somebody actively there watching what's going in these bins, that it's the right stuff going in there? You know, do you have issues with the wrong kind of stuff being dropped off and put in there, and how do you deal with that?
Mary, I don't know if you could hear that.
a little bit, I think you can.
How do you protect the integrity of what goes into the compost bins and keep out the things you don't want?
So yeah, so if, for example, you had a neighborhood compost drop-off site like St. John's, they have signage there as to what is allowable and what is not. So for example, you don't want to have meat products in there. You want to take off all stickers from, you know, fruits and vegetables. So you can, you know, it's pretty clear. But those are the sort of the basic things. You certainly don't want any, you know, trash in them. So yeah, that could be a problem. I know that the business Total Organics Recycling does give a warning to their customers if they like start putting in, you know, things that are contaminants, and they will fine actually the business if they continue to do that and may have to drop them off. I've heard of that. So they are very strict about what can go in and what can't. It's a really fun activity, so I recommend it to everybody. And if there are no other questions, I'm just contact me through our Facebook page if you have any suggestions. or, of anyone who would like to help in any way, build compost bins, whatever, we would love to hear from any of you. So.
Okay.
Do you have a
Not
website?
any other questions, Mary? I want to thank
I
you.
have a question.
Oops. Hello.
Can you ask if you have a website?
Do you have a website?
Oh, yes. Thank you for asking. We don't have a website of our own, but what we've done is two organizations have been really very, very kind to us. The Watershed is one of our big supporters, and we're on their website just as a link to our Facebook page. But right now, they are in the process of giving us, more space on their website page as far as resources, material that we've put together. And also the Center for Sustainability and of Spirituality and Sustainability, SIUE, is also building a website for us. So on their website. So that's been very nice.
Cool.
Mary, do you to search on Facebook, do you just search Composting Edwardsville? And that's,
You know what? I'm not sure that might work, but if you just, our name is Good Dirt
Good Dirt.
Composting Collective, and that for sure would get you there. Yeah, and you can message me anytime through there.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mary, on behalf of the Edwardsville Rotary, I'd like to thank you for your presentation today.
Thank you very much.